Have you ever wondered why a really promising new hire, someone who just aced every single interview, ends up struggling to find their footing? Well, the hard truth is, their success or failure, it often has way less to do with their talent and way more to do with the system, or, the lack of one, that they walk into on day one. Let's dive right into this, because this quote just hits the nail on the head. That simple instruction, just ask someone, sounds harmless, right? But it's actually a massive hidden tax on your entire team's productivity. So first up, let's talk about the symptom, what this actually looks like. We're calling it the onboarding black hole. You've probably seen it. A new person joins, they're super energetic, and then poof, they just seem to vanish into this void of confusion. I mean, they've got all the gear, right? The laptop, the logins, maybe even some cool company swag. But they have absolutely no map. They're just standing there totally alone, trying to figure out where to even start. And that initial excitement, it just evaporates and turns into confusion and uncertainty. This is the symptom we all recognize. Okay, so that brings us to our second part, diagnosing the void. Because to actually solve this, we've got to look beneath the surface of the problem. And this is where you get to that question that I know so many founders and managers ask themselves, usually out of pure frustration. Why does every single new hire take forever to ramp up? Are we just bad at hiring? No, the X-ray reveals what's really going on. And here's the key. It is not a person problem. The real diagnosis is an onboarding void. It's this complete structural absence, a black hole right at the center of your company that just sucks up a new hire's potential and productivity from the second they walk in the door. All right, section 3, the hidden productivity tax. Because now that we have a diagnosis, let's talk about the actual damage this void is doing. So you remember that seemingly innocent phrase, just ask someone? Well, here's what it actually creates in practice. A constant storm of pings, questions, and shoulder taps. The new person has no choice but to interrupt their colleagues for every little thing. And that just pulls your experienced team members out of deep work and totally fragments everyone's focus. And look, the scale of this cost is it's staggering. We are not talking about a few lost hours here and there. We're talking about weeks. Weeks of lost productivity, not just for the new hire, but for the senior team members are constantly having to interrupt. And those lost weeks, they manifest in really painful ways. Projects start to stall because your key people are always getting distracted. The new hire gets super frustrated because they feel like a burden. And, eventually the whole team's morale just takes a nosedive because everyone is feeling the friction from this broken process. Okay, on to section 4, the aha moment. Because eventually all this frustration leads to a really critical realization. This isn't about the people you're hiring. It's about the system they're walking into. And here is the absolute crucial point. Ramp speed is not something you can interview for. It is not a personality trait. Ramp speed is the direct output of a system that you either have or you don't. You cannot hire your way out of a systems problem. You have to build your way out. So, section 5, applying the system patch. And here's the good news. The prescription for this is actually really, really simple. The fix isn't some complex, bureaucratic overhaul. It's more like an elegant patch you can apply pretty much right away. This team patch, as we're calling it, has just 2 simple parts. Step 1, create a clear, documented 14-day plan with specific achievable goals. And step 2, assign a dedicated buddy, a single go-to person for all their questions. That's it. Structure and support. Simple. And the real magic of this patch? It makes progress totally visible and obvious. The new hire knows exactly what they need to do next. Their manager can see how they're tracking against the plan. And maybe most importantly, the rest of the team is freed from all those random interruptions. You're basically replacing ambiguity with absolute clarity. All right, our final section, from void to velocity, because applying this patch creates a pretty profound transformation. So let's just look at the before and after here. Before the patch, your new hire is confused, they're dependent on everyone else, and they're super slow to contribute anything meaningful. But after, that same person is confident. They're becoming more and more autonomous, and they're a productive member of the team in a fraction of the time. This creates these positive ripples across the whole company. You start to see better retention and a much stronger, more supportive culture. And this is the end state we're all aiming for. The new hire is no longer lost in that jar of confusion. Now they are confidently climbing a clear ladder of progress. Every rung is a task checked off on their ramp plan, and they can literally see their own momentum building day by day. And all of this brings us back to the single most important takeaway from this whole thing. If your new hires are failing, stop looking at their resumes, look at your system. Because when you fix the system, you empower good people to do great work. It's really as simple as that.